Welcome to Marburg. In this video I'm going to be exploring the history and development of the town. I'm going to start at one end of Marburg and walk all the way along Edmund Street and follow the history of this place, building by building and landmark by landmark. I better get going. This here is the Anglican Cemetery on Seminary Road. The church here, well, it's not here anymore, was built in 1891. However, in 1978, due to road expansions for the Warrego Highway, the church was moved from here into Marburg. So the Warrego Highway is just down there. I know, another cemetery. I promise this is going to be the last one. And just like the Anglican cemetery across the road, this one here is also built on a little hill. In fact, the older graves are on the highest part of that hill. Person was born in Prussia, 1911. So this Lutheran cemetery here is for the church, which is just down the road that way, and that's where I'm off to next. This here is the beginning of Edmund Street, and this road is going to take me right into the heart of Marburg. Edmund Street also originally was the old Darling Downs Highway. You had to go along this road right through Marburg to get between Brisbane and Toowoomba. So really, right here, this is the beginning of the journey. Welcome, Marburg Township, Queensland's friendliest town, 2008. Isn't that lovely? The friendliest town in Queensland. I wonder where Beenleigh would rank on that list. Surely it would be second place. I'm sure of it. The Trinity Lutheran Church. I believe the locals got the land for this church back in 1888. And I did read somewhere that they got the land for the cemetery, which is just up the road that way. I've just come from there in 1900. I'm pretty sure though I saw some graves that predate 1900. Now this has happened before. Right in front of me there is the handle to ring the bell. And I've been tempted by these things in the past. There was a church in Fortitude Valley where I was so tempted just to ring that bell, but I better not. Just back away, Rob. Don't ring the bell. Just walk away. But what did this area look like before European settlement? I'll show you.
This was the Rosewood Scrub, covering 50,000 hectares and stretching south from Rosewood, east as far as Walloon and west to Plainland. Explorer Alan Cunningham found the scrub impenetrable in 1829 and was forced to go around it. And interestingly, when the railway came through in 1865, the line avoided the Rosewood Scrub altogether and instead went along the southern edge of it. In 1842, Sam and Sally Owens were the first Europeans to live at what would become Marburg. According to the Brisbane Courier on the 31st of August 1907, in the squatting days, the valley where Marburg now stands was known as First Plain, and over the hill, where is now Minden, was called Second Plain. Sam and Sally Owens tended stock for the managers of the Tarampa Sheep Station, and they built a slab hut near the site of the future Marburg showgrounds. The grassy flats there became known as Sally Owen's Plain.
And while her husband was off establishing the Woolpack Inn at Old Man's Waterhole, today known as the small hamlet of Calvert, Sally Owens was hiding her horses in this area from thieves. It's also rumoured that she had a still at her house and was supplying illegal liquor to Ipswich. And the Rosewood Scrub was being used by the local indigenous people as a hideout and place of resistance to early European settlement here. Oops. Just had a nice trip.
It wasn't until around World War I, with the introduction of more effective forest clearing measures, that the Rosewood Scrub was finally cleared, allowing for more intensive farming to occur.
Just entering the town now, and the first thing you come to here is, clearly this was an old petrol station, but I did find out that the building on the other side of it, just here, this shed-looking sort of building, which was later on a mechanics, this was also used before the 1950s as a movie theatre. Long since out of business now, and I noticed there are sandbags around the front of it. In fact, there's a creek literally about 30 metres just over there. Strangely also, there seems to be a plethora of old Ford Fairlanes here. That store across the road there, you can see that there, it's an antique store now. That used to be Day's Halfway Cafe, and it was a very popular stopover before the Warrego Highway was put in for travellers between Ipswich and Toowoomba, also from Brisbane to Toowoomba, kind of the halfway point, hence the name Halfway Cafe. Yeah, I think it's closed. Little tables and chairs out here, the Black Museum. Antiques and stylish decor. So they're back on Thursday the 18th. What's the date today? Oh damn, they're closed still.
In 1878, the town became known as Friedrich, after early settler Adolphus Ludwig Friedrich. And in 1879, the town changed its name to Marburg, after a town in Prussia. It stayed this way for 38 years.
And actually, just next to this antique store cafe, but before the next antique store, in this open bit of ground right here, this used to be where the Marburg butter factory was. After turning this key every day for over 30 years, my family have insisted I join them on holiday at Yeppoon. Telephone box. Just came around the back to this old building, and on the end of the building is a sign for the old Warrego Water Park. That closed down probably about 20 years ago, I think. It was at Haigsley. The area is now being subdivided, I believe. Yeah, an old sign for it, $13 to get in. So going into the Marburg Hotel, I've actually just put my bag in there, that's why I'm not wearing it. But this is going to, because I just put it around the corner, here we are. So 1881 was when it was built, but it was a one story, it was a bungalow when it first opened. And then in 1887, they built the second story. Old stairs. In the narrow stairs. You'll find that in every old hotel in Queensland, whether it's a brick and stone building or a wooden one as this is, that narrow staircase leading from the doorway is part of the architecture in the mid to late 19th century. The old Queensland National Bank opened in 1912. And there was a strong room here in this bank, of course. You would need that. I wonder where it was. In 1976, the building was taken over by the Marburg Districts and Residents Association and was turned into a community centre. It's a lovely little park here across the road from the pub. There's all sorts of little bits and pieces here. Apart from the Heritage Centre there's a playground and barbecue. And there's something over here, I don't know what it is. Heritage Dairy. That's the little dairy. The oldie public toilets. There goes my trick knee again. Former Walloon Shire Council Hall. Wow, there were little halls back then. The one in Beenleigh was tiny as well. Well, March 1913, and the two-room premises were constructed the following June by someone with a last name I could never pronounce. So the Marburg Hotel was right behind me, just over there, and here is the church. This is the All Saints Anglican Church that was up at that cemetery at the beginning of the documentary that I visited. This is the church that got moved here in 1978. This is it. 1891, this building. COVID warning here. Definitely locked. Oh, got cobwebs all over me. There. I was just talking to a local, and he says that house over there, see the one with the little pointy roof? That was a hotel. That was a pub. And it was originally two-storey, but then was reduced down to a bungalow. Now it's a private house. Oh, another church. Church of Christ Marburg. Oh, this is a much later building. This looks like it was built in the 1950s or early 60s. Church of Christ. I don't think he's in at the moment.
Discover the dark heart of the capital of the Sunshine State on the Bloody Brisbane CBD Crime Tour. Visit true crime scenes including the last public execution, the Regent Theatre shootout, the arcade murder, wartime crime, and the lady who vanished. Join me, Jack Sim, and my team of guides to discover Brisbane's criminal history. Book a public or private tour at crimetoursaustralia.com.au.
Here on the border between Ipswich City and Esk Shire is Postman's Track. And this track was originally an Indigenous pathway through the Rosewood Scrub. It was also later used by pastoralists in the area prior to subdivision in the 1870s to access Sally Owen's Plain, which is just out that way there. Oh, and I've also found out that Marburg is the home of pacing and dancing. Well, no wonder the place was the friendliest town in 2008.
In 1870, Charles Smith bought the Woodlands Selection and set up a timber mill in the area. In 1891, his family moved into the Woodlands house. It was owned by the Smith family until 1944. In 1883, sugar was planted by Smith's son Thomas due to dwindling supplies of timber. So he built a sugar mill, and this one was the first to be lit by electricity in Queensland. Later, a tramway siding was built up to the mill from Marburg Station.
Now approaching a former Baptist church that was built in 1905. There it is there. Some sort of arts and crafts shop now. Open coffee, boutique picnics and events. Wow, let's have a look.
Due to anti-German feeling during World War I, the town changed its name to Townsend, named after a British general. The name was changed back to Marburg in 1920.
And now I'm approaching the site of the former Marburg train station. And they've got a little plaque just here. It says it was opened in 1912. The line was here until 1964.
On the 19th of January 1934, the Sydney Morning Herald announced the arrival of a German naval cruiser to Brisbane. The ship's band played Hitler's favourite march, Der Baden-Villa, as it sailed up the Brisbane River. A party of 120 sailors from the ship visited Marburg to see how their German kinsmen had prospered. They were greeted by a large crowd of locals at the station. This was a year after Hitler's Nazi Party came to power and ushered in the Third Reich. The Sydney Morning Herald article extensively quoted First Officer Schiller, who went to great lengths to spread the Nazi Party propaganda that the Jews of Germany were safe.
And hidden amongst the crowd here at the train station were agents of the Commonwealth Investigation Branch. That was the forerunner of ASIO. And they were keeping an eye on the people here to see if anyone was tempted to give the Heil Hitler salute. What's this? Oh, this is the railway crossing. So this is where the trains came through. Yeah, because the train station's just over there, and here's the little information board about the crossing. So the railway crossing was right here. The trains went off up there. So that building there must be Proudlocks over there, which says Alchemy, Salon and Crystals. I'll show you the picture. It says this is the tidiest street in Tidy Town 2008. This old building here was Proudlock's Drapery. It dates to about 1901, and now it says Alchemy, Salon and Crystals. Up this way, and we'll keep going up the road here. I was reading something interesting about a local businesswoman called Jenny Pender. In 1916, she became the proprietor of a newspaper, and that newspaper was the Rosewood Register and Marburg Mail. Very successful local businesswoman. For a time, one of her apprentices was a young man by the name of Gordon Chalk. Many years later, Gordon became the Premier of Queensland, but only for 1 week. That was in 1968. Site of the old hospital up here, and the guy's name is, there's no way I'm going to be able to pronounce this. It looks like Eucharist Siroy or Cyrus, Dr. Cyrus CMMD, Canadian-born doctor. So the hospital was up here. The site became known as Hospital Hill, and then in 1944 there was a temporary women's prison farm that was established here. It then became a male-only prison farm. Beautiful trees over there. I can't help but wonder how busy this old highway was when it was the Darling Downs Highway between Brisbane and Toowoomba. Today it's very, very quiet. No traffic that way, and no traffic coming that way either. Up ahead of me, I can see the Warrego Highway, which means I'm nearing the end of this journey. A couple little more stops to make along the way, but this is right near the end of Edmund Street. So if you've ever driven along the Warrego Highway, you'll know this place. It's a local landmark. There's a cafe here. And what's that? Fipsy's Marburg. But I'm not coming here to get something to eat. I'm not coming here to get a cup of coffee. There's something at the end of this car park that I want to contribute to. Alright, so this memory lock wall thing here, I'm going to add my own little memory to it. And this is it here. It says on there, Walkabout with Rob, January 2024. Alright, now I've got to find a spot on this wall where to clip this onto. This looks alright, I suppose. Done. There it is. Alright, where to next? I've got to get across the highway. So I've just left the cafe where I put the padlock. This road here today is called Piper's Road. Many decades ago, this was the Darling Downs Highway. Before the Warrego Highway was put in, which is just over there, just down there. It was cut through back in the early 70s. This road here, this winding, narrow road, was the highway from Ipswich to Toowoomba. This dirt road here, this is a continuation of the old Darling Downs Highway. So this of course means that if you were travelling from Ipswich or Brisbane to Toowoomba and you went through Marburg, you would then come up along this road to continue your journey. It's incredible to think that this was once a highway. I mean, the road is so narrow and, well, narrow. Cars and trucks going along there every day. But they made it work. I was wondering how long it would take for that to happen. Alright, I'm getting drenched here. Oh, one more place to go. And I end this documentary about Marburg at a place that's synonymous with the name Marburg. And this is it. The Marburg Weather Radar. Just want to say thanks for watching this documentary about Marburg. What a beautiful and very friendly town. Those signs on the entrance to the town are absolutely correct. It is the friendliest town, not just in 2008, but in every year. The staff at the hotel were absolutely wonderful and very generous with sharing information. If you're looking for somewhere to go, a weekend trip from Brisbane, you want to go out for the day, go to Marburg. It's not that far. The hotel is fantastic, lots of old buildings, and some beautiful countryside too. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. This is Craig's drone. Hi, Craig's drone. This is the, whoa! There he goes. That's the drone that's been following me. And Craig's hiding over there somewhere. He's over there. I'll see if I can get him. Hang on. I've got the... There's Craig over there. There's the drone. Ever get the feeling you're being watched?